Now, Kurt, when you got up and walked a few steps down the aisle there to get a look at the guy, what did you see exactly? I mean, Lori was kind of describing a little bit, that you saw the flames and everything. Did you get a look at the terrorist?
I took a few steps up the aisle to get a better look at the area that was smoking, and then it burst into flames. I wasn't really looking at the terrorist man at this point because he was being hauled away to the first-class area without a fight. So, to me, I didn't know if he was just someone that had been injured in a fire or what he was, but he wasn't fighting back, so I wasn't really paying attention to him at this point.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is because a number of people have, I guess other passengers on the flight or something, I've heard that some people just kind of said he was almost like he was dazed or something, but, I mean, if he exploded an underwear bomb, you would think he'd be screaming in pain, and, he would at the very least have that as a problem, but you didn't see any signs of that.
You're right. You think he would have some emotion at all, but he had absolutely none. I describe him as emotionless.
Interesting. So then what happened? I mean, you got people running around, you got people putting out the fire, you got a tremendous amount of smoke. I would imagine the entire cabin filled up with smoke at that point, didn't it?
No, it wasn't that bad. The fire was confined to an area of approximately 2 seats in the wall up to the base of the ceiling by those 2 seats. So it wasn't that big of a fire, and they put it out pretty quickly. A flight attendant ran over with a fire extinguisher and put it out pretty fast. So there wasn't that much smoke in the cabin. It was all done very quickly, maybe a minute, maybe less than a minute.
Mm-hmm. And so this was how many minutes? How long before you were supposed to land?
Right when this started, the pilot came on a loudspeaker and said, "Flight crew, take your seats. We're landing in 10 minutes." Okay. And when it was going on, he declared an emergency landing and then sped up. So I would say we landed in between 5 to 10 minutes after this took place.
Now, so they have the guy subdued. The pilot came on and announced an emergency landing. You said you felt the plane speed up, and then you touched down at the airport. What happened once you got to the airport?
Well, we landed on I believe it was an abandoned runway, or one they don't use too often. And, we're all expecting all the doors to open and emergency evacuation. None of that happened. Police officers came on board in the first class section. None of them came farther back looking to see if, there were any accomplices or to check the area, around the fire to see if it was out or nothing. They told us all to sit down. You're not getting off the plane, and they made us sit there for about 20 minutes on this plane, doing whatever in the first-class area.
Okay, we have to take a break. Hold on a second, sure. Kurt and Lori, and we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll come back and continue, okay? Folks, this is Govern America. I'm Darren Weeks. Our guest is Kurt and Lori Haskell. They have the Haskell Law firm, and they were on the flight, Northwest Flight 253, when the terrorist attack struck. Stay with us. We'll be back. All right, we're back. This is Govern America. I'm Darren Weeks as we continue on here. And our guest is Lori and Kurt Haskell. They're the Haskell Law firm. They own the place there in Taylor. And they were on the Northwest Flight 253 when the terrorist attack happened on Christmas Day. They're here to share their story and their observations and everything that happened there. Now, before the break, you were talking a little bit about what happened in the air and that the airplane had touched down. Kurt, did you want to pick it up? You said you were on the runway there for about 20 minutes.
Sure. After we were sitting there for about 20 minutes on the plane, the terrorist man was escorted off the plane in handcuffs. And that's when I got a good look at him and realized it was the same man that I saw before we boarded. And that's when we both realized that this really was a terrorist attack and not some kind of fluke fire. Mm-hmm. Then we were allowed to take our carry-on bags off the plane, which to me was a big mistake. I mean, we have this crime scene here on a terrorist attack, and we're allowed to take our carry-on bags off the plane, again, not knowing if there's an accomplice here, another bomb, and regardless, destroying the crime scene. Mm-hmm. So we're taken off the plane with our carry-on bags. We're escorted into the terminal in a large baggage claim area that had been evacuated, and we're told to stand along a certain wall there with our carry-on bags. And we stand there for about an hour until bomb-sniffing dogs get there.
Now, talk a little bit about the security, Lori. What was it like there? I mean, you were given a lot of instructions on what you couldn't do, right?
Yeah, it was ironic to us that we were allowed to bring our carry-on bags in there that could have contained something, but we weren't allowed to eat or drink anything. Anybody that had drinks with them, they were taking them away. At first, they weren't allowing anyone to use the restrooms that were there. Once people started complaining a little bit, they started allowing people to use the restrooms one at a time with an FBI agent, and we thought that was a little odd, too, because if someone had been carrying something on them, they could have destroyed the evidence in the bathroom. But probably the whole time we were there, about 5.5 hours went by until they brought drinks up, like different pops and juices and things like that. And I think they brought some different food up, but I didn't see it. But it took them 5.5 hours in the Detroit airport. All they had to do was walk upstairs to McDonald's and say, "This is a federal emergency. We're taking your food," and they didn't do that. We had to stand in one small part of that area and not move. People had kids there that were hungry and thirsty. They didn't care. It took them about 3 hours probably until they announced that if people needed medication or had health issues to come and let them know, and they would take care of them. I think all of us sitting there almost felt like we were being treated like criminals when we were all really the victims of this crime.
So it's like you guys were actually the suspects in the whole thing. Even though you were innocent bystanders, you were being treated like you were guilty as well.
Right. I mean, the whole thing was just a chaotic mess. Kurt and I were just appalled at how it didn't seem that there was any kind of protocol or any kind of order they were following. I think that there was some of the officers there in customs that didn't even know at first that there was a bomb on our plane. I think they were just instructed by the FBI to hold us there and weren't really told much about what was going on. When anybody would ask them questions about, "Can you please tell us what's going to happen next? Can you please tell us how long we're going to be here?" They would say, "We truly don't know what's going on. We really don't have an answer for you. We're sorry." It was just chaotic. Once the FBI got there, it straightened up a little bit, but it was almost like nobody knew what to do. And post 9/11, Kurt and I just thought that there would be something in place, like where they knew what to do if something like this happened again. And we really don't think anybody had any idea what they were doing. They were just kind of winging it, figuring out, what to do next. Should we question them? Should we go through their bags? It was pretty horrible, really.
Yeah. Now, Kurt, you were talking, I read your account in mlive.com, and you had started posting there, and I guess the website contacted you to do a formal interview. But I remember you were talking about some of the things that happened there in that room where you were isolated. There was nobody else on the floor. Is that correct?
That's correct. Right.
So the place was completely abandoned. And what happened next? You were there for several hours, as you said. Nobody could drink, nobody could eat, nobody could make any phone calls, nobody could text anybody, nobody could even go to the bathroom. And you're in complete isolation, very tight security. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take another break. When we come back, I want you to tell us what happened next, because when the bomb-sniffing dogs arrived, that's when things kind of got a little more interesting. Our guest is Kurt and Lori Haskell. They're with the Haskell Law firm in Taylor, Michigan, and they're giving us their account of what happened on that day, on Christmas Day, when the Northwest Flight 253 was attacked.